Support for this podcast and the following message come from Corient. Corient provides wealth management services centered around you. They focus on exceeding your expectations and simplifying your life. Corient has been helping high achievers just like you enjoy their lives more fully, preserve their wealth, and provide for the people, causes, and communities they care about. As one of the largest integrated fee-only registered investment advisors in the U.S., Corient has deeply experienced teams in 23 strategic locations. Corient has extensive knowledge spanning the full spectrum of planning, investing, lending, and money management disciplines. Leverage Corient's exclusive network of experts to craft custom solutions designed to help you reach your financial goals, no matter how complex they may be. Real wealth requires real solutions. For more information, connect with a wealth advisor today at Corient.com. That's Corient.com. Corient.com.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another live edition of the Dawgs Podcast. Joined today virtually by our good friend Kenny Mack. For some reason, he didn't want to just drive down here in the middle of the week. He didn't want to take the 8-hour drive down south into the States, so we decided to bring him in virtually. Kenny, always good to have you on the show.
I am pumped, boys. Let's get this done.
We got a fun, kind of a cool episode lined up today. Not a ton going on right now in Browns land. We're a couple days away from Browns rookie mini camp. Schedule release, I think, is getting announced next week. So we're just kind of in a dead zone. So we're going to do a little AMA. Was it Ask Me Anything?
Ask Me Anything.
I guess ours should be AUA.
Aua.
Ask us anything. Yeah, us. Before we get into it, though, we got a decent amount of questions. Remember, if you want to get your intros and your voicemails on the show, head to thedawgspodcast.com. Tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu. You can also find the merch store. We got a lot of cool shirts going on in there right now, so you can check that out. Get yourself some cool T-shirts, some sweatshirts, whatever you want. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of the new content we're putting out throughout the season. I think next week's episode is going to be good. We're going to have a chance to talk about rookie minicamp, schedule release. We also might have another player interview coming up soon that we're working on lining up. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming out. You don't want to miss any of it. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google if you prefer to just listen to this show. And lastly, if you're looking for more Dawgs content, head to jointhedawgs.com. Become an official Dawg Pack member on the Patreon page. Get access to that private Discord. Play fantasy football with us during the season. Just talk sports, life, games, food from all over the country. The other day I wanted to do some barbecuing. I jumped in there and said, guys, I need seasoning ideas. And I just get bombarded with, these are what I use. Like, it's just an awesome place to hang out. You always got somebody to talk to if you're bored. You work midnights and you're in the dead of your shift at 3 a.m. There's going to be people in there you can jump in there and talk to, keep you company throughout your shift. It's just a good time, a really cool Browns community that's formed over the last couple of years. So if you're interested in something like that, head to jointhedawgs.com to become an official Dawg Pack member. So I was driving in. This is just a little story to get us, kind of ease us into this episode and let it fill up a little bit. If anybody's local, with the studio is in New Philadelphia, and I'm driving down Tusk. I'm almost here. I'm just a short couple minutes away. And here comes this like piece of shit Honda driving right down the middle of the road, going very fast. It's a 35 on Tusk. It's not a 65. And this dude just flying, and his car sounds like crap. And I'm like, what in the F is going on? I pull over to the side so I don't get hit head on. Other cars are pulling over, and then just like a trail of 30 cop cars just flying down Tusk. going 60 plus miles per hour trying to catch this dude. Then right behind them, like 100 feet behind them, like 10 unmarked vehicles with lights on branched. It was like I was in the Bourne trilogy. They were chasing Bourne. Yeah, I was like I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. I'd never seen a high speed chase up close and personal, and I was almost a victim. Luckily, I wasn't watching TikTok, so on the way here, and I was paying attention. I just would have got. Oh, I could have been a hero though. They'd be like, "This. What if that guy just murdered 4 people?" And I would have stopped him
with your car head
with my car head on because I was watching YouTube videos or something on my phone instead of watching the road,
doing some research on the way over.
Yeah, but that was nuts. I called my wife and I was like, "You're not gonna believe this," and she was just like, "Well, I thought you were dying or something, so I guess this is better news than that."
Well, we heard all the sirens, before you got here, and then you walked in, and you're like, "Holy crap, guys!"
It was wild.
Yeah, I was nervous for you. I was just over here just talking it up with Kenny, and I could tell you were very, very excited.
Oh, I was jazzed.
You were very jazzed.
My fingers were. I was very jazzed up.
Very jazzy.
So before we get to the questions, I just wanted to kind of. This is kind of like an after hours episode today. We just want to get a little loose, see how it goes. But another thing before we jump into the questions today, I want to talk real quick. David Njoku was being interviewed the other day. And so this guy kind of made a snide comment about like, oh, it is Cleveland or something like that. And he was just basically like, bro, watch your mouth. And I'm like, I fucking love David Njoku. Like this guy.
He shut Micah Parsons down.
Yes.
Remember that during the Pro Bowl Pro Bowl.
So just like how I feel like it's a total, first of all, this is a guy who literally wanted to be traded.
Yeah.
And now he's like a knight for fighting for Cleveland's respect. Cleveland. You know what I mean? And it's good to see. And I feel like it's a testament to the complete culture change in Cleveland. I feel like nobody stood up for Cleveland on any of the teams. I don't remember anybody like ever coming out. They might have said like, oh, I like it here and the fans are special. But even the players who said that, then they leave and they shit on us like Kyrie or Francisco Lindor. Fuck that guy. You know what I mean? Like all we did was treat that guy awesome and we propped him up. And then all he's done since he went to New York is like shit on us and
play terrible.
So it's good to see somebody, like a current player who just won't take any Cleveland disrespect. Like it's almost like he's like, don't worry, I got all of your guys' back. You don't have to come at this guy. I'll do it for you. And I think it was awesome. So I'm trying to catch up on some of the chat here. I can't see it because there's this giant camera in the way up there.
Yeah.
Turns out we use cameras here and I can't see through them.
And I also, let me fix that real quick.
There's a giant blue block.
Yes. I was trying to read that block.
There we go.
Oh,
there we go.
Very cool.
One day we'll hire somebody who can fix blue blocks for us.
Yep, looking for a producer.
Yeah, if anybody you know who wants to hang out with us and work for free, it's an unpaid internship.
That's right. You get a lot of experience.
Yeah, it's an unpaid internship. So
I'll send my son down right now.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah. He's actually in the chat. So. If you're listening, Jackson, you're going down and helping him with cameras.
There you go. Yeah, you are doing that.
Yeah, we'll set up a cot in the little green room back here in the little production room. I'll bring a mini fridge over and a microwave. He'll have everything he needs.
Yep.
There's a Rite Aid right over here. You can go get some snacks. Tell me we'll see him in about 8 to 10 hours. So before we jump into the questions that we have for you guys, we got a lot of good questions. I did want to say, so obviously we're going to work through as many questions as we can over the next 50 minutes. But also, if you have questions that you didn't post on any of our socials ahead of time, if you have something you want us to get into in the chat, let us know. Give us some Cavs questions, some Guardians questions, anything. I mean, it doesn't have to be sports related. We're just kind of dicking off today. So
yes,
if anything you guys really want to know, movies, games, whatever it is,
zodiac signs, whatever.
I'm an Aquarius.
I'm a Taurus.
I have no idea what I am, but
I'm actually a Taurus.
So I think I was a Gemini at one point, and then they changed them all, and then
now you're a Capricorn.
Care, so I'm a Hufflepuff. Is that one?
No, that is not one. You're a Scorpio. You give me Scorpio vibes.
So if there's anything you guys want to get into in the chat that you didn't have a chance to drop in one of the comments on one of our social media pages, just let us know in the chat. And recommend, I've forgotten the opening, our social media pages, just go to any of them and search at the Dawgs Podcast.
I was going to say we got 2 voicemails to play too.
Okay, cool.
So we don't forget those.
So I think, isn't at least one of them from somebody who's on the show right now?
No.
Oh, no.
This is in lieu of a voicemail. We got Kenny Mack on the show with us. We got Andrew Jackson and Brad Moneymaker in the VMs.
All right. So let's just hop right in here. Question number 1 that we got comes from Alexander Harrell on X. Should Pierre Strong be given a chance to be running back 1 while Nick Chubb is out?
If you don't mind, I would like to just take a minute to answer this question.
Go right ahead.
I'm not sure Pierre Strong is going to be on the team this year.
Right.
Just so, in my personal opinion, I really like D'Onta Foreman. I think that he is going to be very, very nice for us in a fill-in role until Nick gets back. I don't think Nick is going to be 100% this year, and I think Foreman is probably going to have a role on this team. And then, as far as a running back and kind of a bruiser, and then if there's like a pass catching part of it, I'd like to see Jerome Ford get that action. Me and Josh were kind of talking about it. I don't want to be mean towards Pierre Strong, but I wasn't like super impressed with anything he really did last year. And I mean that not being mean, just, like
if he couldn't get on the field and contribute last year,
right,
it's probably not going to happen.
Here was I was kind of beating the drum for him to get more touches last year because I thought he looked but then you hear he just like pass blocking is just a thing that he just hasn't heard of or something. Not very good at it. So it's hard to put him on the field then on third down, and you don't want to just pass on third down. So even if you're going to throw on an early down, you might not have him on the field. I agree. I think he is potentially going to be an odd man out in terms of in the running back room. I think D'Onta Foreman, I don't know if he'll be the one. I don't know. To me, I would probably make him the one to start the season and use Jerome Ford as that change of pace guy, unless Jerome Ford takes a huge step this year and if he gets the offensive line's playing better. Because I think Jerome Ford, we didn't necessarily love everything he did last year. He seemed indecisive and left some yards on the field, but at the end of the day, he was still like decently productive at times. Especially catching the ball in the backfield and stuff. So I look for D'Onta Foreman and Jerome Ford to kind of be that 1-2 punch while we're waiting for Chubb to come back. And honestly, Aiden Robbins, I think, has a very, very real chance to make this team, especially while Chubb is out. And I look for, like, if he has a solid rookie mini camp and a solid camp and he flashes in the preseason, he's definitely, I would say, going to beat out Josh Kelly. I would say he's going to beat out Pierre Strong. Naheem Himes, I think, could also, depending on kick returner, could also, like, if we think Jerome Ford can be a good third down, change of pace back, like, you don't necessarily need Himes or Hines.
I think Deuce Staley he's gonna sort him out.
Yep,
I agree. Yeah. So what do you think he gets a shot, or do you think he's an odd man out, Kenny?
I think it just depends how he goes through training camp. And then the shots that he gets during preseason is going to be indicative of if he's going to make this team. If he doesn't do anything in the first preseason game, you're probably not going to see him. They're either going to try and recoup their losses and try and get something for him. But at this point, I don't know what you get for the guy that hasn't really produced. Funny thing about him is when he was traded for, I just happened to be listening to Cleveland Browns Daily that day. And they get the guy from New England on. They're like, yeah, so we got Pierre Strong. They're like, what do you think of him? He goes, I don't know. I've never seen him play, and he can't get on the field, so I can't tell you anything. And it was almost the same here, but he did rip off a couple big runs. So, I mean, he's got the explosion. It's just the rest of it's not going to get him on the field.
No, I just like he said, this is now the second place where he struggled to get on, and I think he has like decent skills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just think if, like you said, Josh, if there was ever a year where like you had a chance to really make an impact in the running back room and like there was opportunity, it would have been last year. I mean, Jerome Ford was even banged up a lot, and they still didn't go to Pierre Strong in any kind of like exclusive feature role. So I would say no is the answer to that question.
Yep.
Let me see here. Iron Will on X. Who starts at the this is a loaded, tough question.
This is like the question.
This is a question we need Andrew Barry and Kevin Stefanski on for. So if you guys have their numbers, let us know. We'll text them. Iron Will on X. Who starts at the tackles and where this year? Does Wills move to right tackle, Jones at left tackle? What about Conklin, or do they just stick and stay where they are? And again, what about Jack? Good depth for sure. This is I think one of the most intriguing things to look for heading into camp and into this season, into the preseason games for the Browns. I know a lot of people are down on Jed because of where he was picked and the lack of effort it seems at times, but we've also been down on him for that kind of stuff. But we've also said, as a guy who was drafted, until he got injured, he came in as a rookie, started at left tackle, having never played left tackle in college. He transitioned to left tackle right off the rip and anchored one of the top, 3 to 5 offensive lines in football the last, 4 years. So maybe he's not Tristan Wirfs, and we've think he's struggled at times, but he's still been a very, we'll call him serviceable left tackle in the league, okay? Jed Wills wouldn't be on the open market long. He would 100% get signed by somebody if he wasn't on this team. So, but then can you keep Dawand Jones off the field? Right. But then can you keep Jack Conklin off the field? Correct. Because you're paying him a whole boatload of money. I don't know what his money contract, when we can trade or cut and not be out a ton of money. That's one of those extensions that I guess – you didn't know that Dawand Jones was going to be that good. Right?
Correct. We didn't have Dawand Jones at that time either.
Yes. So I guess it's, hindsight's 2020 when looking back, but that's a tough question. That's a tough spot.
So Conklin's got a $10.5 million cap hit this year, and he can be cut or traded after June 1st to save. It'd be a $4.3 million dead cap, but we would still save 6.2 toward the cap.
So that's one. He could be a guy that could be on the outside looking in based on money.
Based on money, but we were talking about it before you got here. Like, all 3 of these tackles ended the year on IR.
I would even justify, $10 million. I'd like some depth.
Yeah.
I'd take $10 million worth of depth because...
And if we're not hurting for the cap space this year, our roster is pretty set.
Yeah, right. I agree. But then is Jack Conklin getting benched?
That's the thing that's crazy is I feel like it's tough to say you could bench either one of those guys, Conklin or Jones, because Jones played so well last year. And then I think so people will be like, oh, we'll put Conklin at right and then just put Jones at left. Well, that's a tricky transition to go from right tackle to left tackle.
We just did that with Jed.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think if Jed's healthy, he's the left tackle.
I do too.
They drafted him to play that position. He's played it his entire career. They picked up his option, so they obviously believe in him. And I felt bad because I felt like before his injury, we were starting to kind of see him turn it on a little bit.
Yeah, he was on the upswing.
You know what I mean? Yep. It almost seemed like something was starting to click. We were seeing he was being very aggressive in the run game. It looked like he was starting to maybe turn a corner a little bit in terms of just aggression and fight and effort. Yeah. And then he got hurt, which really sucked to see because it seemed like he was on the uptick. So I think he is the left tackle. And then when it comes to right, I know Dawand Jones was great, and some of that, the greatness, I'm not going to say it's overblown, but the fact you didn't expect it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then he was a fourth or fifth rounder. I can't remember. A fourth round pick. He has to come in when you're not expecting him to even play this year. And then he not only holds it down, he plays extremely well. But Jack Conklin's not a scrub.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. And as good as Dawand Jones was in pass pro, I would say he was below average in run blocking. So if Jack Conklin can pass pro, just as well as Dawand Jones or up there with Dawand Jones, but his run block grade's 30 points higher, Jack Conklin's who you play. And I know a lot of fans are going to lose their mind, but the run game suffered last year. And some of that is because Dawand Jones was just not a very good run blocker. I'm not saying he won't take a big leap this year and stuff like that, but if it's not just about the pass pro, it's the complete game. Even if Jack Conklin if he's just a little bit worse than Dawand Jones in pass pro, he's that much better in the run blocking department.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Kenny, you got any thoughts on that?
I just agree on just leaving it status quo. I think Dawand Jones does stay back up. I think as long as Conklin is healthy, right? But I want to see a little bit more bang in that run, and I think Jack will get you there before Dawand does. Also, Dawand didn't hold up for the entire season, right? He didn't play the first 2 games because Conklin was there. Conklin got injured. They didn't last very long. So can he handle his weight the entire year? I don't know. He's not playing against, university scrubs. So, and he did play against good competition, but he didn't play against NFL competition for a full year yet. So I like the depth. I like where we're at. Just let it stay. Let it stay and don't overthink, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it could be good for Dawand too, just to continue to develop, like you said, in the run game. Just, hey, no pressure this year. We know that you're obviously a future starter on this offensive line, but right now we got Jack, and
if you make Jack the starter and Jed the starter, then you can get Dawand like pressure-free reps at both sides. So where if you do end up having to make a tough call at left tackle one day, now maybe Dawand Jones can transition into that role because he's not just thrown into it. We're not just saying go be left tackle now this year for starting for us for 17 games. No, he's had a season to learn it and get reps at it and practice and study it and that kind of stuff. So if I had to guess, I would say if everybody's healthy across the board week 1, I would say it's going to be Jed at left and Jack at right. But that's just my best guess. I think it's.
I'm just pumped to see what Andy Dickerson has in store for this team. Like maybe the what's his face there. The message got stagnant. Like every year, there's a little bit more penalties. There was a little bit sloppier play, and it just did get better and better. And while Callahan's gone, we love him. Maybe just a new message is going to invigorate all these guys. Or maybe Jones becomes a better blocker. Like, who knows? Like, I'm pumped to see what happens with these guys. And even the assistant, Roy Estevan, apparently he's coming with some great clout too, coming straight from Philadelphia, but he just got out of the college ranks, right? So let's see what they got.
Like I said, my guess is Will's Conklin, but if it's something, nothing will shock me. Mm-hmm. Really, unless like all 3 of them aren't on the team, then I'd be shocked. But nothing would shock me because it could go. I think it can go like either way.
This episode is brought to you by Dawand Sports. Browns fans, Dawand Sports is your one-stop shop for all your athletic gear. Dawand started out perfecting and manufacturing the best balls in the business. Yeah, if that sounded dirty, that's more about your mind than my words. But hey, it's true. Baseballs, softballs, footballs, basketballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, you name it, and Dawand has engineered the highest standard sports balls available. And now they offer more than just sports balls. If you got kids playing baseball or softball, Dawand has batting gloves and bats to go along with both game balls and training balls. If you're into basketball, Dawand makes basketball specifically for indoor or outdoor use. Heck, Dawand even has all the equipment you need for pickleball, which is one sport that I hear everyone is playing, and yet I still never have. And I need to fix that soon. But don't miss the backyard games section of Dawand's website, where you can order everything you need for this upcoming outdoor season. Pool balls, backyard volleyball nets, croquet, bocce, horseshoes, cornhole, and more. Right now, you can get 10% off your entire order at Dawand Sports, BADEN sports.com/dogs, DAWGS, and use promo code DAWGS when you check out. That's 10% off all the top quality sporting gear you need this season. DawandSports.com/dogs.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Before we go to the next question that we had on from the social, so I don't lose it in the chat here, Ken Adams asked, do you think Maurice Hurst makes the final roster? I think he will be the odd man out. AB normally carries 4, but he has carried 5 once before. There's a logjam at D-tackle for sure.
Yep.
So who's currently on the roster? You got obviously Michael Hall Jr., who we just drafted.
Tomlinson.
Dalvin Tomlinson, Noah Hurst, Shelby Harris.
Ika.
Is there anybody else?
Quentin Jefferson, who they just signed in free agency.
Quentin Jefferson. Anybody else?
That's all 6.
That's all 6.
Well, and Jawan Briggs, who they just drafted. So they got 7.
Pick.
Okay.
Yep.
Which will probably be practice squad.
I would imagine, yeah, Briggs is probably going to be a practice squad guy. You'd have to think Shelby Harris, Maurice Hurst, or I don't think Ika's on the chopping block, but because they just drafted him in the 3rd round, I don't see AB giving up on a 3rd round pick that quick if he stuck around with Schwartz that long. But I would say it's Hurst and Shelby Harris, I would imagine. I like Mo Hurst a lot.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a log jam at the defensive tackle. Dalvin Tomlinson's on the team.
Correct.
And Michael Hall's on the team.
Yes.
So what do you guys think?
I'm with you. I mean, those are both like Shelby Harris, Mo Hurst, older guys. I agree with you that you can't really. I think it's too early on Ika to get just bail on him completely. And then Michael Hall, you literally just took him with your first pick of the draft. You're not cutting ties with him. So, it's tough because we like Shelby Harris and Mo Hurst a lot. I think at times last year, both of those guys stepped up and
Shelby Harris got a 2-year contract.
Oh, did he? Well,
yeah, he's not on a 1-year deal.
He's
so I think he's locked in. Tomlinson's still got. I think he's on a 3-year, so he's got this year and next year. I just don't see how you get rid of Mo Hurst,
right?
Because he was such a force on the D line last year. I mean, he pressures the quarterback so well, and I don't know. Maybe they are just hoping that Michael Hall can come in and do the same thing that Hurst was doing.
Somebody said so. Hurst has played too much. He's not. I don't think he's like practice squad eligible.
I don't think so.
So maybe like Ika would go to practice squad, but again, I
feel like
I don't
possible.
I mean, I guess he was basically just like a healthy scratch and like didn't even dress last year for most of the games. But so maybe he's
lost a lot of weight though.
Yeah, he's thinned down a lot. He looks
like ready for the season. Yeah.
So
I'm pumped for this guy to do it. So
I would say it's probably between Mo and Ika in terms of who's going to be on the active roster and who's potentially either going to be cut or on the practice squad for sure.
It's crazy, man.
I mean, we talked about this. Like once you start building a team and you got lots of talent, good players are going to get cut, and it sucks. It's a good problem to have. You can never, you know what I mean? You can never have too. I'd rather make tough decisions this way than like, well, what piece of shit do we roll out? You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have this problem than the other way. Another question here in the chat. What do y'all think is the plan for Deshaun if he isn't where he should be?
Well, I think that's why they signed Jameis Winston and Tyler Huntley. Right?
I will say this. I think, don't get me wrong, like I think we have a great defense, and that's great and all, but we've said it for a couple of years now. Like I feel like it kind of, all of our success kind of goes through Watson. You know what I mean? Like, and I truly believe that he will be successful. I think he just needs to kind of catch a break. I feel like he just had injury issues, and then, there's suspension issues. I'd like to just see one full season of Watson where we're not talking about rust or just
amen
or drama or anything. I just want to see the guy go out and and I'm not even saying he's got to be 2020 Texans, like just balling out. Like I'd love that. Don't get me wrong, that'd be great. I just give me 75% of that. I think we win a lot of games. You know what I mean?
I think like Jake Burns said this year, his expectation would be for him to be like a top 10 quarterback.
Yes,
sure.
And then going into like the 4th year or whatever, he should be like a top 6 to 7 at worst quarterback, based on what we gave up and what we're paying him. And that, to me, I think those would be fair expectations. If he's a top 10 and he's 9 or 10, we're still going to hear a bunch of shit this year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
right.
Like you said, if he's playing at a top 9 or 10 level, we're probably winning a good amount of football games.
Yes.
I always get a little bit, and when people start saying like he needs to be top this number, I'm like, well, top this number in what? Well, top this number in yards. Okay, well, you're going to probably have some quarterbacks that are, Derek Anderson was high in yards, but it was a lot of garbage time yards or whatever. You have quarterbacks who just get a lot of yards, but maybe their team's not winning. I'd rather, if our team is balanced and we're running a good offense, we got a good run game, we're passing the ball well, as long as we're winning games.
Correct.
I want the team to be top 5 in the league. You know what I mean? So as far as his play, he just needs to limit the turnovers and help us win games. Like that's what he's here to do. He's not here to be a 5,000 yard passer. Yes, that's nice. Mm-hmm. But if he throws for 5,000 yards, we don't make the playoffs. Who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So
I know like winning games but he needs to also occasionally be the reason we won the game.
Like in the Ravens game. Like
yes.
Basically for me, he just needs to pick up where he left off because he's talked about this on his podcast. He always starts the seasons kind of slow, gets his footing. And I think most offenses kind of do. You know, it kind of takes a few weeks to
Joe
really
Burrow
click.
sucks ass the first month of every season.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I need to see Deshaun Watson later in the season and when he's in mid-season form, like they say. Mm-hmm. I just haven't seen it yet.
So he says if he's not where he should be. So then in my opinion, that means you can't hold it if the guy is injured.
Right.
Yes, you can take that into account down the road when you're judging the trade. When you're grading the trade, you can say he just couldn't stay healthy. And that's obviously a knock because, availability is important. Yeah. But he can't help it if he gets hurt. I would say when answering this question, it puts a lot of pressure on the Browns. If he's 100% healthy for 17 games this year and he just isn't that good, then the Browns then you got really, really tough decisions to make going forward after that. Like, do you bench a guy who's making $230 million?
Yeah, I don't think so, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is the kind of organization that can do that.
And if you have to bench him, and because he's not playing well, and then that becomes a distraction, you got to pay him anyways. Do you cut him?
I do not want to pull a Denver Broncos and pay him to go play somewhere else because he will play somewhere else. You got to. The thing is, like last year, he was playing pretty well and he was picking up steam and building. And the thing is, like even after he played 3 weeks. And then he was hurt. The rest of every time we saw him on the field after that, he was injured to some extent. Whether it was fully broken or just fractured or hairline, whatever it was, he was injured, and he still went out there, had great games against the Cardinals, beat the Ravens, put the team on his back in the second half, and it's just stuff like that where it's as long as the recovery from the surgery is going well and everything's okay, and he can still throw the ball and his mechanics aren't affected. I mean, I understand people are upset about his availability, but you got to expect he's going to play well. He's going to continue where he left off.
Yes, I've thrown out the hypothetical. If he doesn't play well, puts pressure on the Browns. I want people who are watching. I don't want this clip to get retweeted a million times saying I'm saying to cut Deshaun. I'm just throwing out hypotheticals and answering questions. I expect him if he's healthy. I'm hopeful and expecting him to play well.
Yeah. That is the expectation.
Okay, and then if
just want that dude. I just want that dude to freaking not stiff arm Steelers. I want him to go down early. Don't take a lot of hits when you're running. If you're past the first down marker, just slide, bro. Just slide and live for another day. Because there's times where he was frustrated, and I think he absorbed way too many hits and tried to wait way too long to get the ball down the field. And he listened to too much of the chatter. The guy's just got to be himself. He knows that. And he can be a top 10 quarterback. He's got the God-given abilities to do it. So just let it happen. And again, I'll use my last line. Just don't overthink it. Just get rid of the ball. Stay healthy, man. That's what I got to see.
I think Jake talked about this too. He just needs to play with confidence.
Yes.
He needs to come out and just know I'm a good football player. And he needs to know if I throw a pick, it's not the end of the world. I'll come back out and get to play football again. And I'm not at risk of losing my job. I'm not going to lose my job in one play, and I'm not going to, earn my next contract in one play. Just go out and play loose and play confident and believe what your eyes are seeing and let it rip. Play loose, play free. Because I think, like Kenny said, he's in his head trying to do too much. Like he's trying to legitimize the trade in one play. You know what I mean? Like every play, like he's dropping back and he's like, if I can hit a bomb right now, everybody will say the trade was worth it. And you know what I mean? And he can speak confidently in the media and tell us like, oh, I know what I can do and none of this stuff. But internally in his head, there's so much outside chatter. It's impossible to block all of it out.
Absolutely. And you're right. I mean, if he's trying to, ration or legitimize the move to get him in one play in an offense like Jake Burns had said that doesn't really suit him. You know what I mean? So I think that there's not only is there confidence issues with, well, it's been a while since I've done this. I'm not really comfortable in this offense. And you could tell he really hasn't been in those 12 games. And I think having Ken Dorsey in here and all these other guys switching things up, I mean, man, if this offense does not look drastically different, I'm going to be very disappointed.
I'll be shocked. I don't know how it could not, with all the different voices they're bringing in, and I love what they did in talent.
Yes.
I just don't understand how it couldn't look different. I think it's going to be night and day compared to what we've seen the last 2 years of the offense. Aaron, to answer your question, Watson has started throwing as of a few weeks ago. I think he was up to like 40 yards. People were saying he was throwing. So he is throwing.
And he's been there through all the offseason or the workouts that they're doing in Berea.
So keep up in the chat. We're going to go back to some of these ones that people asked beforehand. Matt Gerber on Facebook. Do you ever think about having a bus trip to Browns games or set up a booth before a game in the Muni lot?
Every game we do that already.
I'm ready.
We're already doing that, brother. No, we're not doing Muni lot.
Well,
I'm almost 40.
And when you say we, you mean you.
Yes.
I think
my boy Jack, who's in the chat, actually.
I think this question is more like, do we as a podcast ever think about going up and like setting up and letting people know like, hey, the Dawgs podcast is here. Come talk to us. I've thought about this a ton, actually. I was researching like foam fingers one time until I was like, how much would it cost to buy 1,000 foam fingers with the Dawgs podcast on it and just hand them out for free up there and like partying with people. And then they go into the stadium and there's 1,000 people with Dawgs podcast foam fingers. Like that could be a worthwhile investment. So if you guys want us to do that, become a YouTube member so we can afford to buy some foam fingers, or so we can afford to pay Kenny's kid when he comes down here to produce for us.
We did do week 1 last year. We were all up there.
Yeah.
But I don't think we advertised it as, hey.
No. We just went.
We're blending in just out with the fans.
Although I did get stopped in the stairwell in the parking garage by a couple of people that were like, "Are you on that podcast?"
Not at all. Nope. No, I am not.
But you know what we got to do is we got to head down to Vegas this year. I don't know if you guys saw. The Browns are like kind of connecting with a travel company. It's called Travelway, or I can't remember what they're called. And they're doing 4 games. So it'll be Denver, New Orleans, the Raiders, so Las Vegas, and there's another one that escapes me. Might be Jacksonville, I think. But it's called True Travel Travel Agency. That's who they connected with. So I think we should all, as Dog Pack members, we should all head to Vegas because I heard it's a good time.
I'm going to talk my wife into it.
Absolutely.
But no, I think it would be very cool to definitely like take the podcast on the road for something like that. Go up to a game and just like set up and maybe like have our banner out so people can see us and everybody can just come up and say what's up and we hang out and then we can go into the game.
We could live stream from the parking lot there.
Yeah, as long as we can get good.
I know, but we could.
As long as we can get good internet.
I've got Starlink.
Oh, nice. Elon Musk over here.
That's right, baby.
So I think, that would be, how cool would this chat? You let us know. We go up there, we set up Starlink, maybe put like a TV behind us, and we sit down and we're just like drinking with all you guys and eating. And we like, people are walking by, they can sit down and talk with us for a couple minutes. And we're just basically doing like a live pregame show from the parking lot right in front of First Energy Stadium. Yes. I think that'd be really freaking cool. And then, honestly, if you got Starlink, we don't have to have tickets to the game. We could have the game on the TV, and people could just sit around and watch a game with us, and we could hear the crowd going crazy as we're watching on the TV right in the parking lot. So
you could also hit up the Las Vegas Browns backers. I hung out with those guys. I think there was like 200 people in the bar. It goes wild. The TVs are like, they go all around the bar. Everybody's super in the game. They got raffles like every quarter. I think I won a bucket of beer. It was fantastic. I didn't need that bucket of beer, but it was a great time.
Kenny, I'm sold on Vegas. You don't have to keep selling it. I'm sold.
I'm selling till we're there, man. I'm selling till we're there.
Let's see. What do we got here? So Matt Gerber, good question. I think you put us onto some good ideas. So basically it's all up to like, if my child's behaving and I can plan it in advance, then I think we can make something cool happen. So maybe we'll do something like that this year, actually.
Let's plan it. It'll be on a Sunday probably.
Yes.
Around 1 o'clock.
Now, what I do want to do, and I think I have permission from the wife to do this at some point. I want to take the Dawgs podcast on the road to Ottawa.
Oh,
and I want to go up to Kenny Macker's Browns backers bar and do like a show from there and watch a game with all the Ottawa Browns backers.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
So that's what we got to get our passports out, boys, because I want to take this show on the road up to Ottawa for a game.
I got to make sure my passport's still legit.
I'll break it down quick for you guys too. It's a golf bar. So basically what it is we put the game on the golfing screen.
Oh, nice.
So it's like, 15 by 20 feet.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And then you have turf in front of it, so it's like you're at the game, man. It's fantastic.
I can lay down and piss myself. It'll be like you're really at the game. So we'll go on to the next question here. Pui Burnt Pizza on
I think it's
YouTube.
Pee-wee.
Pee-wee. Oh,
Great reader.
I thought it was just well, if it was Pee-wee, I would have seen like a hyphen or something. It just says
Holy.
PW.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pee-wee Burnt Pizza on YouTube. Why is it the MLB and NBA really only promotes major markets, yet the NFL can easily promote or showcase small markets? To me, a big difference here is, at least between the MLB and the NFL, is salary cap.
Okay, that's one.
Your big markets buy all the best players, and there's very little parity in the league. You know what I mean? Like you know what 6 teams are going to be there. And who they have all the best players, and that's what they push. It pisses me off to no end because, like Cleveland, I know we haven't won a World Series since 1948 or whatever it is, but consistently, like in basically my whole life, for the Indians and / Guardians were one of the best run franchises in all of baseball.
Yep.
Like especially for a team that doesn't buy all the huge name players. We've had a couple down years here and there, but I think I saw somebody post on Twitter last week, like in the last decade or decade plus, I think we have 1 or 2 seasons just barely under 500, and every other year we're north of 500, multiple division playoff appearances, in a World Series appearance, like the longest win streak in baseball history.
Correct.
And we do it basically being a farm team for the big market team. So I wish they would push some of these other teams, because we have one of the best run organizations in all of baseball, and just nobody pays attention to it. And again, I'm one day in my life, it'll hopefully turn into a World Series, but it's going to be tough because you make it there and you play the Dodgers, whose payroll for one person is double, triple what the Indians pay their entire roster.
Correct.
It's MLB in baseball has so many problems. They're fading. I don't understand how they can keep giving billion-dollar contracts to players, because their stadiums are empty half the time. There's literally no way to watch a Guardians game right now. The Guardians are, if anybody pays attention, very good this year. Surprisingly, very
Shockingly.
good. Okay. First year with the new manager. Bieber went out early.
Huge.
And I'm pretty sure we have the best record, or the most wins in the American League at least, or at least in the league. And we're second in win percentage. We have one more loss than another team. And I can't watch them. If you buy Bally Sports, you can't watch them on Bally Sports. You have to use a cable provider to watch them on Bally Sports. They don't just stream them on their app for some reason. It's not on. They're not on TV anywhere. There's literally, I have no way to watch the Guardians, and I want to watch them.
Well, what we could do is we could get into my vehicle and we could drive about 45 minutes up the highway and we could go for about $21 a ticket.
I was looking at tickets today.
Is it expensive? I want to take the girls up sometime.
I want to get club seats,
I'm not
and
doing
those
all that.
were like
Jesus.
the club seats. I think outfield club seats were like $80, which isn't terrible.
That's not,
And there were some decent seats, not club level, like first section for like $75, which isn't terrible either. But they're good, so the tickets are going to be more expensive than if we had 3 wins this year.
Correct.
But yeah, the MLB have so many problems. They don't market their teams well. Mike Trout is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he is going to go down in the discussion as like the GOAT in baseball. Nobody knows who he is.
It's because he's on a team that's
and he's on you know what I mean? And he's on a team that has never done anything. And he's been in the league over 10 years now. Mm-hmm. And he's legitimately one of the best players of all time. And they don't market him. They don't do anything. You could walk down the street and nobody would know who he is. And he's one of the best baseball players of all time.
Trout, you could put Mike Trout on the podcast right now, call him Mikey T, and I bet you 10% of people might know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's about it. Nobody knows him.
And then so that's MLB's problem. They don't market anybody. It's not just their big market teams. They're terrible at everything. I think Rob Manfred is a terrible commissioner. And then the NBA, I think the NBA's biggest issue is it's arguably like the least popular of the three major sports in America. And so they push their big market teams. They have a salary cap, but it's not hard. You can pay a luxury tax. So and there's so much player movement. It's like I love the Cavs and stuff like that, but it's hard to even like find a player that you love on your team because he'll just team up with four guys and go to another team on one of the coasts and form a super team. I think what makes the NFL great and why they can promote all 32 teams is because all 32 teams entering every season think they have a chance to win it. Yep. There's so much parity in the league. Teams go from last to first every year.
Yep.
So you could be complete ass the year before, and there's a chance you'll win your division the next year because of the way the draft is set up, the waiver wire is set up, free agency isn't as fluid as they are in the other leagues because of the firm salary cap and stuff like that. So the NFL's got it figured out in terms of a formula. And some people might not like this, but their formula is they don't give the players too much power. You know what I mean? Like in the NBA, the players have so much power to basically the commissioners of those leagues, they don't control their own league. The players control them, and now there's no parity. They go form super teams on the coast and the big cities, and like it's hard to promote a small market team if they don't even have one good player, one marketable player. Like, you know what I mean? So that's what I see. I think there's major issues in the other leagues, and that's why the NFL on a random Thursday night game will outperform a playoff game in another league.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Like it won't even be close. Mm-hmm. So let me see. That's the answer to my answer to that question. Thank you, Pee-wee or Pui. Amon Garg on YouTube. Who is your under the radar Browns player you'll be paying close attention to during camp, and who could have a larger role than we're expecting?
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order, and that code can be used over and over, so you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS.
Just who we've been talking about if they make the team. I mean, I think Trayton, the tight end there out of Wyoming, might have a good shot. He's just been steady Eddie with the Wyoming Cowboys, and he does everything right. And for him to push who we have on the team currently, I don't think it's that far-fetched. Also, Aiden Robbins, I mean, I was going to bang that drum because we called it out in one of the shows. He's what he has in his favor, aside from anything, he's 6'3", 240 pounds. He's the same size as the tight end that I was just talking about. And he runs a 4.56 or 4.65. Either way, for the type of style that we're running, like, I mean, I think that he can excel behind the running backs that we have. So those would be the two guys that I would think that would be coming from behind. Other than that, if you want a comeback player of the year, then I'm going to say Grant Delpit because he missed half the year. And I know Ashton the Joker's asking who will lead interceptions. I'm going to pick him with 7 to 8.
I was going to pick Delpit too when I saw that question because I think he's going to get to freelance a lot. And
I do
we have the lockdown corners, so I think he's going to be able to we're going to play press man, let him just kind of be a playmaker. So I could see Delpit leading in interceptions. What about you? You got a under the radar player you think who might splash?
So I don't know if you could call him an under the radar player. When we kind of touched on him, I think there's two guys that are people are already kind of forgetting about. One of them, I think Foreman is going to have a critical role on this team. I love Nick Chubb. I just don't know what we're going to get from Nick Chubb when he comes back. And I think he's going to be that guy. If you look at like his track record over like last 5 years, he's kind of just stepped up and been a stud everywhere he's went. You know, like they trade McCaffrey in Carolina. He comes in and he steps in. He's awesome. Last year for Chicago, they were kind of abysmal. But when you watched him, it was nice. The guy's an angry runner. I'm excited to watch what he does with Cleveland. The other guy, and these are not like under the radar players, but I think Jerry Jeudy is going to have like kind of a huge season. Like I think me and Josh were talking about it. You have Amari who, you know, people are going to focus on. You got David who people are going to focus on. I mean, Jerry Jeudy's not like people look at him like a scrub because his situation's been so rough. I think he could actually kind of just absolutely flourish and see a lot of opportunities. So I'm excited to see what he does. Martin Emerson leading for interceptions.
I was going to say Martin Emerson for the interception thing, but I don't hate the Delpit pick at all.
My only issue with picking one of the corners is I just like they're not going to throw at Ward.
No,
I don't know if they're going to throw at Emerson. I guess they got to throw at somebody, but you know what I mean. Like I was trying to think like I don't think it'll be Ward because they just almost never throw it in his direction.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like the I'm not saying he's Darrelle Revis, but it's like the Darrelle Revis didn't get tons and tons of interceptions because
nobody wanted nothing to do with him.
Didn't throw to his side. He just locked down on the side of the field. I had a couple defensive players I thought were maybe one of the first names I thought of was Alex Wright.
Okay.
I thought he really flashed at times last year, and if he could take another big jump in this offseason, there were times last year he played really well.
Yep.
So I think he could become like a really nice piece for that Browns defense. And then I think it has a chance to be an underrated signing. And if he kind of bounces back, he could be very good for the Browns. I think Devin Bush could be very good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
okay.
Interesting.
That's a good one.
You know, like we're talking about how we're suffering a lot, and same with Hicks. Like I think those two guys can replace Anthony Walker nicely. And like Devin Bush was highly touted. He was very solid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think he has a chance if sometimes you just need some fresh scenery.
Yep.
And he gets to play fast and loose in Jim Short's defense. I mean, haven't seen anybody come into Jim Short's defense and regress.
Right.
You know what I mean? So those are a couple guys I thought of. Like I think Devin Bush could have a nice bounce back season. I think if Alex Wright continues to progress, he could have like a good, nice rotational role on this defense. Because I thought he really played well at times last year, especially after a rookie season where we're like, I don't know what we're getting out of this guy. Next question. That was a good question. Jim Jam on Instagram. Favorite and least favorite Browns moments. So I think the easy answer to this is when they left and when they came back.
Yeah, no doubt.
My least favorite moment.
I know mine.
Mine's the helmet to helmet on Higgins in the divisional game.
Not mine.
I didn't even think about that, which is saying something.
That one crushes me. Every time I see that still image, I'm like, son of a bitch, because we had all the momentum in that game. To make it to the AFC Championship game? Oh,
if that's a touchdown, that game goes up, because then Mahomes is hurt.
Yep.
That game goes a very different way.
Yes.
What about you?
So, best moments, I think Brown Steelers in, what was it, 2021?
The playoff game.
And the week before.
Oh,
you know,
the back-to-back.
finally, like, hey, even though we're playing their backups, we can beat these guys, and then we beat the shit out of them.
I sat in my chair in my living room and just like
Screamed.
had like a tear coming down my face. I look like Ben Roethlisberger.
I was at the Cleveland one, and it was like 12,000 people because of COVID, and I was like, this is very special. I was convincing my wife, I'm like, this is a very special moment in Cleveland sports history right now. My least favorite moment, I had a lot of trouble thinking about this because the first person that popped in my head was Corey Coleman. And then I was like, oh no, it's not. It would be the Monday Night Football game that I attended with Blake. Was John there for that too?
That was Joe and Dave.
Yes, okay. Monday Night Football, we're playing the Baltimore Ravens. And we went for a game-winning field goal while the game was tied. They blocked it and fucking returned it for a touchdown as time expired. I've never been so scared to be in Cleveland. People are ripping their jerseys off, like just Hulk style. And I was like, we got to get the hell out of here. We got to get the hell out of here right now. That one, I'm sure there's worse moments. Like Nick Chubb injury. Like we could throw some of those out there, but like that to me, like. That was devastating.
So for myself, for least favorite moment, I was going to say the Chubb injury. I just remember like that happening and just being like, I was almost like in shock.
Yes.
Like I looked like the team. And I think, you know what I mean? I don't know if you all remember this when we should have won the game, but Dwayne Rudd took his helmet off on the field.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like whenever I think of just like biggest, worst blunders in Browns history, that is like one of the first things that comes to mind for me. I thought about the Monday night game for sure.
I was alive for the fumble. I was alive for the fumble and the drive. Out of the two, the fumble was the worst. Like he was going into the end zone. It got popped out 2 yards into the end zone and flipped back like a yard or two, and Denver got it. The game was done then. Like that was so deflating. The drive was the drive. I mean, from what I remember, Elway just threw 90-mile-an-hour fastballs and nobody could stop him because we were sitting on a prevent defense, and we didn't win that one either. Best moment, though, I would have to say when we clinched with the Jets the first half. That was one of the best moments, like being in Cleveland, being in the playoffs. I got to sit with John. I got to hang out with Justin that day. We brought people from Ottawa that had never been to a game before, and they were mesmerized because they're like, man, is it always like this? I'm like, well, not really, but just enjoy it. You know what I mean? So that was super awesome. And I mean, if I could think of another one when I was young, I remember the Browns were in playing the Raiders. They were down 14-0 at halftime. I was so mad. I turned off the TV. I think I almost thrown the TV through the window. Come back, watch the game. Metcalf caps it off. Browns win 17-14. I never jumped so high in my life. It was friggin' fantastic. That one just stands out to me for a regular season game.
When I think about my favorite moments, I have a couple. Obviously, I thought about the Browns playoff win. I thought immediately about the Thursday night game against the Jets. I was at that game.
The Baker.
I took a buddy of mine who's from Greece. He had never been to an American football game before. I had taken him to an Indians game earlier in that week, and we had club seats, and he was like kind of like amazed by that. But you know, baseball's like just like a lot more chill. And then I took him to the Thursday night game for the Browns, and it was already electric, like before Baker even came in. But then Baker came in, and he's playing well, and it was unlike any sporting game I've ever been to. I've been to Cavs playoff games. I was at an Ohio State game when we played Iowa, and then we rushed the field after because we clinched the Big Ten. I've been to some big games at different things, and that was the craziest, most electric atmosphere I've ever been a part of. It was a regular season Thursday night game. Nothing has even come close to it. Like my friend just looked at me, my buddy from Greece, and was just like this is insane. Yeah. This dude's been to like European soccer games. So that, and then it might have been my first ever Browns game. We were playing Baltimore, and they were beating us at the half, and we couldn't do anything. Charlie Fry was our quarterback. We had Dennis Northcutt, and then the second half, Charlie Fry and Dennis Northcutt went off. I think Northcutt returned a punt for a touchdown. He had like 180 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns or something, and we beat them late. and Charlie Fry goes running off the field, pointing up at us. I was right above the tunnel. I was like, I'm going to love this team forever. So that's one of the best moments for me for Browns. Let me see here. We got a few more minutes, a couple more questions. This is lined up well. Heath on YouTube, what do you guys think the Browns would have to give up to acquire Dameon Pierce? I mean,
why do we want Dameon Pierce?
That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at with it.
I don't even think I don't think it would be much because
like a 7th round pick.
Yes. But I just don't see why. I mean,
I think you can just wait till the end of the year and wait till he gets cut if you want him.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, he got replaced last year. They signed, they drafted him 4th round. Then a year later, they signed a guy to start over him. Then the next year, they sign another guy and extend that guy to start over him. They don't want him. They don't want to use him.
He's like a nice back, right? He's like a nice running back, but like his pass catching ability, there's not a whole lot of that.
I think he's limited.
He's limited. That's fair. So, and we're already talking about like we have concerns that guys that we think are good are going to get cut from that room. So I don't know. To me, I'm okay. I'm all right on Dameon Pierce.
So we got about one more minute here, and I see Ashton the Joker in the chat says, do you guys have any schedule predictions for who will play week 1? And then I'll kind of pair it with Aaron Butler. He's being so nice and respectful today. So we'll answer one of his questions. He says, do you prefer or want Ravens week 1? In terms of who do I think will play week 1, it seems like the league likes to set us up for some kind of like big divisional matchup. Yes. So I wouldn't be shocked if it isn't. I don't know if it'd be the Bengals 2 years in a row because I could definitely see it being the Ravens. For sure. I could see it being, you got Lamar coming back from his MVP season. We were the last team to beat them in the regular season. It'll hopefully be Deshaun's first start back, and it'll be his first start since coming back to beat them in their place. I could 100% see it being the Ravens. I just hate, and then he says, do you prefer to play the Browns or Ravens week 1? I don't want to play them week 1 because it's not a fear thing. I feel like we always get dicked and we play 3 or 4 division games in the first 7 games. And it's like, okay, if this works out right, we could have a great lead in the division or whatever. But if we suffer a Chubb injury or, a quarterback injury or, sometimes it just, like teams don't. I want to play the division games when we're playing well, and with the lack of preseason, I feel like most teams aren't really hitting their stride until week 4 or 5, even heading into week 6. I don't want to have to play the toughest teams on our schedule week 1 every single year. You know what I mean? And I hate the Ravens, but they're obviously going to be one of the toughest games we play this year. Right. I'd rather not. I'd rather play them when Deshaun, is hitting his stride in the offense with all these new offensive pieces and offensive coaches have had a month to kind of see how the games are going to go and game flow and how they want to manage calling plays with the new guys and who's going to communicate what. And I'd like to see us play some of our tougher teams, like when some of this stuff is ironed out, a month into the season. I don't want to start in Baltimore week 1.
So I'm with you. I get that. My thing with like a potential Baltimore Cleveland game is like I'd like to see it farther down when it like kind of matters. Like week 1, they're already going to have some primetime games. That's not going to be a primetime game for the Browns. I see us like honestly having like a stinker game like week 1, like Browns Denver, like you know what I mean, or Raiders or something like that. I don't see them like throwing us like something crazy right off the bat. We have some cool opponents like on the schedule this year, like as far as
play Dallas
Chiefs, Chargers. Maybe it just depends on if it's at home or if it's away.
It's most likely going to be away, right? Isn't there a concert?
Oh, it's Billy Joel and Rod Stewart.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm pretty sure it's going to be a road game. So I would like to be. Yeah. Can we play? I don't know. I'd like to start 1-0. And people might say I'm being a pussy. I want to play one of the tough teams to start 1-0. But we got 4 new offensive coaches, a quarterback who's going to be playing his first game back off injury. We won't have Nick Chubb, so we're acclimating a new running back. Like, can we get something that's not the toughest in-division rival on the road week 1? Can we just? I'm not saying you got to give us a cupcake or a layup, but can we save that for week 4?
It is kind of crazy too because Cleveland, in this order, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Baltimore is the hardest strength of schedule. And then
because we all play each other.
Right. And then Cincy, I think, is like 13th or 12th or something like that. They're a little bit farther down because they suck a little bit more. But no, I'm just kidding. But that is like, I saw that when they released the strength of schedule, and I was like, oh, man, that's brutal.
Like Ashton says, he'll take Raiders or Broncos week 1 at 1 p.m. Yeah, I would not hate.
Yeah, just a nice, simple Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock game.
Under the radar. The only people paying attention are us and whoever we're playing. There's no talk. We just come in nice and quiet under the radar. Start 1-0 on the road somewhere, hopefully, if we play well, and then just start getting into the groove of the season. And then if you want to throw us on the road to Baltimore week 3 or 4 or whatever, and we're 2-0, 3-0 at that point, hopefully, God willing, and it's a big matchup, and they put it on prime time, cool. But I mean, don't throw us to the wolves when we're trying to get some of these new pieces. See how everything's going to work right off rip. Like,
Jack in the chat saying the concert's week 2.
So maybe we will play a home week 1.
I've seen like Kansas City at home. I've seen play the Steelers at home the first week, and I can't remember what the rationale was behind that, but that's a couple things that I've been reading.
Kansas City, they'll play Thursday night.
I had to pick it up.
One thing, real quick, we'll wrap this up. Kansas City got to be a little bit pissed at Rashee Rice.
Yeah, he keeps messing up.
Okay, I heard he might get released.
No, really?
I heard
they released Kareem Hunt after he was the NFL rushing leader.
I heard they basically told him like there's a chance he'd be released after the hit and run incident, and then he turns around and like a month later is
what's it, assault or something now?
And I think there's a real chance they'll release him. And if he isn't released, I think there's a real chance he's suspended a decent amount of games. They go out and they sign or they get Marquise Brown and then they draft Worthy. Correct? Am I right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they think, Rashee Rice is going to bloom into that number 1. He was really coming on strong last year. We're going to be set. Now they're back to not having a number 1 possibly. And it's like, man, that's a tough situation. This guy, I don't know what's going on with him.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know if
he's having a fall.
Surrounding himself with the wrong people or what. But yeah, somebody needs to get a hold of that guy because he looked like he had a chance to be
really good,
very good.
Very
and he's playing with a guy who's going to go down as the best quarterback of all time probably, and you're throwing it all away. So that's a tough situation. We're pretty much right at that hour mark, which is what we say we want to do. Keep it at, and I have to go home and put my child to sleep because I have to be a good podcaster. I have to be a great father.
Kenny, thank you so much for joining us on this glorious evening. We appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, just happy birthday, Kevin Stefanski, and good luck to Duke Johnson on his retirement.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Some people were talking shit about Duke. Duke is a baller.
Yeah. I went back and looked at the stats. I even posted about it. I was like, it was actually very good.
Very good on third down.
If he could have played on this Browns team with this offense, like he could have been a weapon.
He had the offensive mastermind, Hugh Jackson.
Yes. But we appreciate everybody who left questions either online on our socials or the chat was awesome. You guys gave us a ton of extra stuff to talk about. Maybe we'll have to do a couple more of these episodes throughout the off season when news is a little light. Again, as we do these kinds of things, you don't even have to ask us, direct football questions. We like all the sports, all the movies. We're all big nerds. So anything you guys like, you kind of want to know our thoughts on it, life, just, hit us up, let us know, and we'll talk about it. If you guys like this episode, let us know. Like I said, we'll try to do a couple more of these. We appreciate you guys watching, supporting us through the off season. We appreciate everybody who watched that Aiden Robbins interview. I think he's a really humble, cool stand-up guy. I'm excited to see him in camp. Everybody seemed to enjoy the interview, and we potentially have another one lined up, hopefully coming in the next week or so. So stay tuned for that. We'll hopefully have another player interview for you guys. We're working on that. Again, we appreciate you guys helping us out, supporting us throughout the off season. Can't wait for schedule release, rookie mini camp to wrap up, so we have some good stuff to talk about. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.